Oh, it's not a cut. That's a slice.
Now this is a quack hook.
Oh,
Short
wow.
and into the right rough, headed to the trees.
Oh my God, it's a shank. He decided to re-tee. That's a shank. Oh, man.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Two-Way Miss Podcast, to the 40th episode of the Two-Way Miss Podcast. Good buddy Banksy.
Wow.
Can you believe it's been that many, bud?
That's good. That's a golfer's clap.
Seriously.
Right there. Yeah, that's
Everyone
awesome.
out there, give yourself a golfer's clap for being part of the movement.
Yeah, how about it?
I mean, I look back just tonight because I was looking through our episodes and realizing it was number 40. And I went back and saw that last May is when we started this thing. Or March 17th, I did the intro.
Yeah.
And March 24th was our first official episode. And I mean, geez, it's been we're pushing like a year and a half here, bud.
Yeah, that's good stuff too. And just to that, I think I mentioned it last week, but again, like when we miss a few weeks here or there, just because of life, I do have people reaching out to me like, "Yo, did I miss it? Is there a new one coming? Are you doing it?" So it's neat. It's just awesome to people like care enough to reach out and say, "Hey, when's the next episode coming out?"
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
I think when I texted you about this, and I don't know if we got on the, I don't know if we even got on the phone to talk through this. I think we were just texting. And I was like, "Hey, I've been like trying to do this podcast thing forever.
Yeah.
And I finally want to just do it." And literally this was the first one that I did. That little intro that was done on March 17th of 2021 was just me talking for 4 minutes by myself. And of course, my first thought to do a golf podcast was you. So when I texted you like, "Hey, I'm really going to do this now." Like, it wasn't like, "Oh, I'm thinking about this. Oh, we should do this." It was, "No, I'm doing this and you're coming along for the ride with me." And to think that we are at the point of, like, when you just look at it, we're 5 downloads away from 500 downloads.
That's incredible.
In 40 episodes. So that's over double-digit downloads an episode.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Good stuff.
It's just crazy. So everyone out there, we can't thank you enough for tuning in, for reaching out to either of us to ask where the podcast is. I mean, again, we say this all the time, but like the fact that anyone outside me and you listen to this will never stop being amazing to me.
Right.
And I mean, to hit 40 is awesome. And to be so close to that kind of milestone in downloads is just crazy. Just crazy. I appreciate you coming on the journey with me, bud.
Oh, I love it. You know what? I'll get one more time.
There
One
you
more
go.
time.
One more time. A little golf clap
Go.
for the fellas.
Golf
And everyone
clap.
out there who's been
Yeah.
downloading the podcast, watching the YouTube videos. We are 1 subscriber away from 20 subscribers. So anybody out there, if you enjoy the podcast, go throw a subscription down on the YouTube video. The link will be in the description of the podcast. Getting real close to 20 subscribers, which again is crazy. It was a big goal of this year to start recording these on video and getting them up on YouTube. I think both of us were really excited about that because you can get so much context into how the two of us are feeling, the interaction between the two of us when you get that video format. So please, if you hadn't subscribed already, please go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the B&B podcast channel. You'll get get those videos in your inbox every time an episode comes out. So just one more way you can follow along with the podcast.
Yeah, I feel like we need a T-shirt to hand out to the 20th subscriber.
That's the second half of the year, man. We're pushing to the second half of 2022. That's the goal for the latter half of 2022.
Yeah, get that merchandise train rolling.
Just to have some merch rolling. So definitely look out for that, everyone out there. The first day we have it, you'll see us repping it for sure. So we'll show it off on the YouTube video. But that's, second half goal of 2022. That's the next big one.
Love it.
So we got a couple things to talk about tonight. But I wanted to start with, you put on Instagram that you were at the Senior US Open this past weekend. So I wanted you to just run through your experience there. Like how was it? Where was it? Give the people a little insight into what you were seeing.
Yeah, so I was up in the Lehigh Valley, close to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where one of our other podcasts hails from. Azzy's from that direction, from that area.
Shout out Fixated Podcast.
Absolutely. And the golf course, the property was Salkin Valley. Beautiful property. I had been there years ago when I was younger, because the U.S. Senior Open has been there multiple times. But it's a beautiful property, and the grounds are immaculate. You get to see all these guys that you kind of grew up watching on the PGA Tour, and now they've transitioned to the senior tour, and the biggest takeaway is, like, these guys can still freaking play, and they can still hit the golf ball. The golf balls might be yellow, but they can hit the golf ball.
How long do they set up that course for them?
It's long. It's over 7,000, I think. I mean, but a lot of the tees weren't all the way back.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not. Yeah.
It. And I'm not sure if various days if they move the tees back and forth. It played long. I mean, the greens are just so pure. It's amazing. I think that's they can all hit the ball, they can all hit wedges, they can all hit driver. They have these shots where the ball just looks like it's just floating in the air, right? But these guys can putt.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. It's amazing to watch them read breaks and make the amount of putts they do, and the amount of time they take on putts. I was sitting there watching and thinking, I was like, man, if I took half the amount of time reading my putts, I'd probably shave like 4 strokes
probably
off my game. But you got to see, like, I'll just throw some names out for the people. So you got to see your Davis Love III, Ernie Els, Retief Goosen, Jerry Kelly, Jay Haas, who, by the way, is 68 years old. And still playing some damn good golf.
Ernie was the picture I was excited about to see on your Instagram.
Yeah, that guy, watching that guy swing is pretty special. David Toms, another guy, just silky. I think the difference is, David Toms, very silky swing, but you have, like, those guys like Ernie Els and Retief, they're 30 yards ahead of
Still
David
bombing
Toms.
it out there, yeah.
And it looks like they're swinging the same speed. Now, in contrast to that, I don't know if anybody's out there watched or thought Padraig Harrington is swinging the golf club as hard as he possibly can.
I love it.
From practice swings to full on swings,
just flat out all the time.
Swing, you just, every time, even during practice swings, you just poof, poof, he is swinging as hard as he can. But he's crushing the ball. Like, he played amazing. He played incredible on Saturday, which was the day I was there.
Yeah.
And then in turn, Steve Stricker came back and played just as amazing on Sunday. And Harrington only ended up winning by one. But these guys are just so good. And then for my area, local hero Jim Furyk, got to see him play. He shot 5 under on Saturday, so it was neat to watch him.
Still Mr. 58.
Mr. 58. Yep. Miguel Angel Jimenez. Greatest part of his day is watching him off the golf course doing his warm up,
the stretching and all that.
That is as advertised. That's some pretty special stuff. But those tournaments are great because you get to see all these guys, but it's not like a regular PGA Tour event where you're 3 rows deep on every hole. Like you can actually get right up to the ropes with these guys. You can watch them hit golf shots. You're not climbing over people to see them hit. You know, it's neat because it doesn't quite have the draw of a PGA
Right.
tournament, but you know, so that gives you a little bit more fan interaction with these guys. And I did say, and I know this isn't a Tiger episode, but I did say, you know, can you imagine 4 years from now? Like, there's going to be quadruple the amount of people here.
So
if he would ever show up.
So that's the thing.
But listen. Every time, and again, this has been in press conferences, and I get it, joking around, ha ha ha. But they said, you know, questions like Tiger, what are you looking forward to most in like this next chapter? And he often responds with, "Hey, 4 years, I get to take a cart." So whether I'm reading into that too much or not,
I mean, that might be more relevant now, right, than ever.
Yeah, if that guy starts showing up to any of these, I mean, it'll be
the biggest story in golf.
It'll be insane. But yeah, that's 4 years away. We got time to, you know, I don't know if he's necessarily done on the PGA Tour yet,
right.
but if that guy starts showing up to Senior Open, senior events, senior majors,
yeah, that'd be something crazy.
Be pretty.
So who do you think was the most popular guy out there? Was it Furyk just because of the proximity to, you know, just because Pennsylvania?
You know, yes and no. I mean, Furyk only made the cut on the number.
Yeah.
So he was the first tee time out
Yep.
on Saturday.
Yeah, that makes it tough.
So, you know, a lot of people, we caught up with him. I think we watched him 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So he had a following. I'm trying to think, you know, it was kind of spread out pretty evenly. I mean, it was neat to watch Padraig and Stricker together.
Yeah.
I mean, two Ryder Cup captains.
Yeah, right.
Playing together. Unfortunately, Stricker didn't play well on Saturday. But yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if I could say who had.
Who were you most excited to see?
I was really big on seeing Ernie.
God, see, this is why we do a golf podcast together. That was going to be my answer too.
Right?
I would have followed him all day.
we did follow him for a while. Just, I mean, the guy, you know, people say how, you know, relaxed and nonchalant Dustin Johnson looks walking around the golf course. Like, Ernie's got that same swagger to him.
The Big Easy is a really good nickname.
You know, and it's great. He just kind of glides his way around the golf course, and you know.
See, I feel like he's my answer because, granted, I didn't go to a lot of golf tournaments. I haven't been to I've only been to 2 professional golf tournaments in my whole life.
Yeah.
One at Marion in Philadelphia, where I actually got to see Tiger Woods in person, and then the practice rounds at Augusta. Those have been the only 2 actual like professional golf tournaments that I've been to. So of course I missed, you know, we were young even when Ernie Els was in his prime, you know, in the 90s when he was battling Tiger in all those tournaments. But God, it would have been cool to see that guy in his prime.
Yeah.
Just swinging like he does and battling Tiger. And yeah, I would have been really excited to see him. I just feel like it's a great chance to go see the guys that you might have grown up with and not had a chance to see in person. And like you said, this is the perfect chance to get really close and be able to really see their golf games. Again, it's not in their absolute peak performance, but these guys can still play.
They can. Yeah. And you're standing right next to them. They walk right by you. And I like, hey, good luck today, Ernie. And I mean, nobody, talks to you.
Yeah, right.
I know they heard me.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a good one coming off the range. We went down to the range a little bit because, again, that's something I think everybody should do as well. If you go to a tournament,
Yeah.
go to the range
Mm-hmm.
and watch these guys hit golf balls. Like, it's watching Davis Love hit golf balls on the range. It's what's the cliche? Poetry in motion. Like,
Yeah.
It just that. I mean, but Jerry Kelly was, and some of you are going to know who that is, and some of you aren't. I don't really know how to explain it.
I don't know how to explain it either.
He's been around for a while. He's and
he's a less popular Rocco Mediate.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And he's hitting some chip shots on the range, and he's just like chunking them and stuffing them, and he's stretching his shoulders out. I don't know if he was sore, had a neck issue, but he then leaves the range to go to another chipping area, and he walks right past me, and I said, we feeling good today, Jerry? And he just walks by. He said, "Oh, fuck me." I just kept walking by. I was like, nice.
That's fantastic.
Nice. Because he's on the range, looked like the rest of us. He's chunking wedges, bladed a couple, and then went over to get some more practice.
Yep. I can sympathize with that.
Yeah, so it was neat. Overall, awesome experience. I highly recommend it. And like I said, the senior tournaments, a lot less people. You get so much.
I think it's
more
great
of
to
that
they go all
interaction.
over the place. So I think if you have like young kids, take them to a women's event, an LPGA tour event, or a senior tour event. It's easy. They can get right next to these guys, watch them actually hit golf shots. I feel like all that stuff is really underrated in terms of a spectator event.
Right.
Because they don't show it a lot on TV. It's not highly publicized, but to go to one in person, I think is a great opportunity for a lot of people to see, professional golf and in a much more relaxed setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, we obviously wanted to touch on that again at Fairbanks C23 on Instagram. If you want to give them a follow, check it out.
Yeah.
Or at Swing Hard. Follow both of them. We'll get much more into Swing Hard when the merch comes out. So that's a little teaser is what we call it in the business. But your boy, Xander Schauffele, won the Travelers, Banksy.
Yeah.
We need to get your opinion on this. How do you feel? What do you think this does for Xander's legacy? Does it change how you feel about him? What are the emotions that, your much beloved Xander Schauffele finally won a golf tournament?
Yeah, I don't know. And again, you say my boy, for those of you that don't know that, I've had this
in pure sarcasm.
Yeah. I don't like him.
Yeah, this
and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just not.
And
my
it's
favorite.
it's my favorite thing.
Yeah, because I have no reason for it.
Exactly.
I'm purely being a dick.
Yep.
I have no reason.
I love it.
Sorry. But yeah, it's fine. We kind of touched on him before. Like I really, he kind of fall into that category where he can't close. He gets himself there, and then, double bogey later, doesn't have a chance to win. And then, he pulled off the gold medal at the Olympics, which even on that, like, he had to grind to do that. I mean, coming down the last hole, he jacked one, I think, way left or way right, had to pitch out, and then hit a wedge shot and save par to win, win the gold medal. And that's kind of where I thought, okay, like, he's got the confidence, he knows he can win, and then nothing really happened.
Yeah, translated into nothing.
So I mean, good for him. We regardless of how I feel about him, I try to understand as much as possible that's not always about me. So, overall, he's a young player. It's good for golf to have as many guys in that rotation of being consistent and being on the leaderboards. Again, hopefully this is another springboard moment for him, maybe. To winning some more tournaments.
I mean, you look at it, -19 won the whole thing. So it wasn't exactly a fist fight.
Right.
Thagala was back in it. So Thagala started with him in the last round, beat him in that round, but kind of had a blow up on the last 2 holes.
Yep.
Thorbjornsen, an amateur, finished 4th, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. How's that? What is that, like $300,000 in pro shop credit?
It's a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of golf balls, buddy.
It's a lot of golf balls, lots of shoes. Those sample drivers are going to get used.
Yeah, where's the demo driver?
Yeah.
So,
but again,
actually, that's a good question. I'd love to know what. I mean, because you can't get $300,000 in pro shop credit.
It has to go into like a trust fund or something. You would imagine that they can't touch until.
Yeah, and with these new NCAA rules, with guys being able to make a little money,
like
here
name and likeness deals. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know what he'd get. I mean, he's got to get. I hope he gets something out of that because he deserves it.
I hope it goes into just a fund that he's not allowed to touch until he turns pro.
Yeah, but
so you just kind of defer it until a later date.
And he played well, and I think the realization.
Yeah, he shot -4 in the last round.
Yeah, he had some hiccups coming in. Like, I think
yeah.
It's that realization where it's like, oh shit, I'm
like
I have a chance to win a PGA, and then he like chunked a few, hit one in the water.
Yep.
But yeah, good for Xander.
But again, like this field is. Let's just run through I'm looking at the leaderboard, so let's run through the names we recognize. Kevin Kisner, T6. Scotty Scheffler, T13. Webb Simpson, T13. Cantlay, Jesus, shot 76 in the last round. Did you see that?
Man. Watching that was.
Did you see that one par 3 where he barely made the water?
Yeah.
He had a shot like 57 yards.
Yeah.
Looked like me out there. Goodness.
Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. But actually, break it up. Go back to Friday or Saturday, where Rory's like running away with this thing.
Yeah, I think Rory got a little tired. Rory's been out there for a couple weeks.
But he was running away with it. He had a 2-shot lead or something and was rolling.
Yeah.
And then took an 8 and a 7 and a double.
Finished top 20. Finished T19.
Yeah, you just don't see.
Yeah.
You don't see that too often, and
yeah. I mean, again, no one really towards the top that's like an absolute killer. Xander, out of all the guys in the top 10, is easily the best player on this list. A bunch of the guys who you would recognize, Cantlay, Finau, Rory, all top 20.
I mean,
and then you get into the rest of it, and it's really just the filler of the PGA Tour.
Yeah. All the guys that are left anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. God, Tommy Fleetwood, T46. That's good. He's going to have to be a podcast soon because that guy.
Yeah. It's just one of those things.
So I think when we go back to Xander, and again, I just wanted to kind of go through the leaderboard to give the listeners context into the tournament as a whole. I think he's firmly in that, and this is not an original take because I heard it on No Laying Up on their podcast, on their recap about the Travelers. But he's firmly in the until you win a major, I really don't care zone.
Yeah.
He's too good for me to care about these regular PGA Tour wins.
Yeah, the talent's there.
And until he gets a major under his belt, I just don't care. I don't care if Xander wins the Travelers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like if you win Riv, win the Memorial, win the API, win a WGC, some sort of elevated event, maybe I'll care like a little bit. But in general, I'm not really going to care if Xander wins just a regular PGA Tour event. It doesn't do anything for me. It's the same with Rory. Like, great, he won the Canadian Open. Yeah, it was cool because of all the LIV stuff going on. But I really don't care.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the zone I'm in with Xander.
And I feel that way with you mentioned his name a second ago. I feel that way with Finau.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I don't care. Like, your talent, with your talent, it just needs to be better. Quite frankly, it needs to be better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like, just looking at the rest of this, like, I don't care about anyone who wins this tournament.
Yeah.
Maybe outside of Kisner, because he hasn't won in a long time. Brian Harmon, like, that'd be cool. Little lefty. Winning a tournament.
Yeah.
But again, like, no one else on this list would make me excited.
Justin Hadley chipped in for Eagle and gave like a fist pump and like a weird snap. I thought he was gonna like shoot her. Like, I thought it was coming.
Someone has to do that at some point, right?
I don't know, somebody. But yeah, so
It's
about
yeah. It's like,
covers.
I don't know how much we recap the Travelers, but I just need Xander to win something important.
Yeah, minus the Olympics. I guess that was pretty important. But PGA Tour,
Yeah,
you're right.
we could have an argument about that, I'm sure.
It needs to be.
Yeah.
And again, I'll put Finau in that same. And, Cantley hasn't won a major.
No.
Either, right?
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
There's this group of guys that have a lot of attention on them, and again, because of what's going on in the world of golf right now, are going to have probably more attention on them because there's not some other players taking that spotlight. So, it'll be interesting to see who kind of comes out of this as the next kind of wave of guys to watch, and if anybody can be consistent. I mean, Scotty Scheffler's still hanging around there. He's been the most consistent for the
for the past 8 months. Yep.
So,
well, that's a good transition into what we wanted to talk about with the last sort of 15, 20 minutes of the podcast. We've been talking a lot about the LIV Golf situation, what's been happening with it. The players have been going over. Their second tournament started today out in Portland. With the likes of Patrick Reed, Pat Perez, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau. All the names that have sort of come around in the past couple of weeks. And what I kind of realized and what we were talking about before we started recording was we've given the context of this league about who it's backed by, the Saudi government, why they're creating this league, the sports washing, all that stuff. But it sort of dawned on me that we haven't discussed kind of the legacy and what these tournaments mean side of it. And I think given the comments from Freddie Couples just yesterday or even today, it got reported on golf.com. Someone called Freddie was captaining a celebrity sort of golf tournament. Michael Phelps was playing. It's a bunch of celebrities playing against each other. Someone called Freddie on the range and asked him how he felt about the LIV situation. And he went pretty deep. He went pretty hard on his comments. He didn't pull any punches. The first thing that the article quoted was he went to Michael Phelps, who's the most decorated Olympian the U.S. has ever seen, and asked him, would you rather win, Riviera or Memorial or one of these that only pays you $1.3 million or one of these LIV events, which pays you $4 million? And he said, and Michael Phelps, who is obviously not a golfer, said, "I'll take the trophy that means more." And Freddie pointed at him and said, "Look, here's a guy who's not a golfer who understands this better than these guys who have jumped to the LIV Tour." And so the sort of, say what you will about the PGA Tour, but it is the professional, like, it is the professional vessel of golf in the United States and the world. It's almost to say that, would Steph Curry take $200 million for 3 years to go play in a Chinese basketball league? And then if he wins a championship, does it mean anything? Does it matter to Steph Curry's legacy if he goes over to China and wins some Chinese basketball league's championship? And the whole legacy part of this is sort of it's the third or fourth item on the list for this LIV stuff. It's not the most important thing, but I think it's the one thing we haven't covered on this podcast. And I want to give our listeners some kind of context into that. So, and I think it's specifically true when a guy like Brooks Koepka joins LIV. This is a guy who for years has been telling us that all he cares about is winning the most prestigious tournaments all the time. And again, he will not be denied access to any of those majors. But if Brooks Koepka goes out and wins this week in Portland, like, have you ever won a tournament that means less than one of these LIV golf tournaments? There's no history. There's no legacy behind it. There's no, like, looking at the other names on the trophy to see who else might have won it. And it just, Freddie's comment struck me that this is a guy who's been around for a long time, was a very popular player in his time. And I think it's a thing that a lot of these guys who are still remaining on the PGA Tour, I think it's one of the biggest things that they feel about the other guys who have jumped to LIV is that you're going to play in these tournaments that mean nothing. They mean nothing. No one cares if you win one of these tournaments. It's essentially, you and I would care more if we won a member guest tournament than these guys would care if they won a LIV tournament. From the sense of winning it. I understand they make a lot of money, and that's what all these guys are going for. They're just going for that. But at some point, the money's going to become irrelevant because you have so much of it already. Winning another $3 million, like, what does that do for you? And you have nothing to fall back on after that. There's no, my name goes down in the history books. There's no, well, now I'm on the same trophy as Tiger or Ernie or name a player from the past, Ben Hogan, Sam Snead, name anybody. I'm not on the trophy with these guys, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer. And it was really interesting to me to hear Freddie's comments and to think about that part of it. And I wanted to kind of just expand on that for the listeners and get your opinion on that part of this LIV golf situation.
Yeah, so go ahead and kind of like paraphrase, if you can, what he said.
Yeah, so it was basically, he's never going to play golf. Him and Phil were friends. He's never going to speak to Phil again. They're out. And essentially, he kind of pointed out that, hey, look, this guy is a swimmer, Michael Phelps, and he understands that legacy means something more than these golfers who have jumped to LIV just for the money. And he essentially was like, why would you go play a tour that means nothing? Like, you're playing for nothing. You're playing for no legacy. You're not playing for accolades. You're just, like, you're going out there to have a hit and giggle.
Yeah.
And so I think he was essentially questioning their competitive spirit and sort of their their drive as a professional. You know, to be a professional in anything, you are the top 0.001% of whatever you're doing. If you're actually a professional athlete at something. And at some point that work has to mean something, is what I took from it. Like, all that work you put in should go to something that's meaningful. These guys are putting in work towards something that means nothing. It means nothing.
Right.
No one will care that Charles Schwartzel won the first LIV golf event. No one will care or remember.
And I think that shows you the legitimacy and the strength of these tournaments to begin with.
Yeah.
The fact that Charles Schwartzel
Who hasn't won in 12 years
is your winner. So now not only are these guys playing strictly for the money, I don't think they give a shit whether they play well or not.
Oh no, I'm not. You're absolutely right. They don't.
I don't, you know, and unfortunately you have to use like a Dustin Johnson as an example. That guy's not going to be pounding balls on the range and getting better at his game. He'll be rolling up to the tournament, going to do what he needs to do and go home.
Yep.
So I don't, you know, they're going to be there. And not only are they now, you know, taking away the purest form of why people should play sports, you know, for the love of the game
And the competition.
that's already out the window.
Yeah.
Like that's gone. But now on top of that, you're not gonna give a shit. Like you're not gonna try and get better,
Right.
right? Like you're not. It's because it's all guaranteed. It's already given to you.
There's no cut.
There's no cut. You know, I still am curious to see what these contracts entail.
Yeah, what the
Like,
other obligations are.
I mean, did they sign like a 10-year deal? Is this like
Mostly I've heard that the longest I think they've heard of is 3 years.
so 3 years? You know, and are these guys? You know, is it, hey, I'll put my 3 years in, collect my 200 million, and then go back to the
Well, that's where you run into is the Saudi government one to just kind of let you ride into the sunset?
right? So, well, that's what all Phil's lawyers were for. To
Yeah,
write up
yeah,
write
right.
up the paperwork.
Yeah,
So it's a shame. I think it's a dark time for those golfers. I think the PGA Tour is doing an incredible. And again, the PGA Tour is not perfect.
Yeah.
You know, with this going down, they did the right thing by stepping back and, you know, revamping a few things. And I think they're doing it with the players. Like, okay, now we're going to have 8 tournaments worth $20 million.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are speaking to us. We're gonna listen. Now, whether or not that was forced because of LIV a little bit, or
Of course it was.
but you know, I think the PGA Tour is responding really well, and I think the players that are sticking with the PGA Tour, you know, they have a lot to gain. And not everybody hates you. Like, you know, you know, it's funny, people, you talk to people about this LIV stuff, and pretty much what comes up the most is don't care, not going to go searching YouTube to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't care. And second is those guys are dead to me. Like I don't care what Dustin Johnson's doing in Portland, or you know Brooks Koepka's crying about his knee and how the PGA Tour forces him to play too much.
Yeah.
Even though they're in charge of their own schedules.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this will give me more time to heal my body and play. You know, whatever. Like those guys they're done. It's done. Like those are the two things. One, I'm not going to watch because I don't want to, and two, like I don't care if I ever see these players play golf again.
Yeah.
Like that's that's kind of where we're at, and that's just, that's the deal these guys had to make with themselves, and had to understand, like, listen, like, I'm going to get a crap ton of money, and everybody's pretty much going to forget about me in the golf world.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting how what the receptions that they will get when they show up to majors over some time,
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, we saw that Phil still got his same sort of reception at the U.S. Open. It'll be interesting for everyone else, like the Patrick Reeds, the Koepkas, the DeChambos, the Pat Perez's.
Yeah.
Those guys will be where it's interesting. Phil has 40 years of collateral to work with.
Yeah.
These guys don't. Nobody liked Patrick Reed anyway. And now that it's impossible for him to be sort of Captain America, like he can't be on a President's Cup. He can't be on a Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Yeah.
Brooks Koepka can't be on a Ryder Cup anymore.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. And neither can Dustin, who's been one of the best Ryder Cup players the last 8 years. It's
Rory's funny, he's always one to speak his mind. I guess he and Sergio are good buddies, and they were talking about LIV, and Sergio said to Rory, like, "Oh, we're finally getting paid what we're worth." And what I read was Rory literally laughed out loud and said, "Sergio, we're golfers. Like, we shouldn't be paid anything.
Yeah, we're worth what we win.
Like, we play golf, So, there's just, these guys that have made the jump have to mentally convince themselves, mentally manipulate themselves to be like, this is the right decision. I'm still not doing it for the money. I just want to, whatever, play without the pressures of the PGA Tour. And it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, you went for the money. That's the end of the story. Like, just,
yeah.
And then these guys are getting upset at reporters.
Yeah, right. For asking all these questions. Like, motherfucker,
like,
you did this.
Yeah. Like, what the hell did you think was going to happen?
Right. What did you expect? Like, Brooks kept getting all defensive and being these you can believe whatever you want, but these talks only started after the U.S. Open. Oh, yeah. These talks started the same day you deleted PGA Tour player from your account. That's not how the world works, dude.
Yeah, and I'm tired of listening to him try and be a tough guy.
I know.
Like, it's all fugazi. It's not real.
No,
like,
it's not.
Stop trying to.
Yeah, because if Brooks Koepka met a real tough guy, he'd wither and like he'd shit his pants.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm sure there'll be more names dropping in the next week before the next tournament. I don't know. I really hope it's no more big names, and I don't believe it to be. It seems like the really big names, the Thomas, the Spieth, the Rahm, Morikawa, the big PGA Tour names are staying put.
Yeah.
Again, but who knows? Brooks said for a long time that he didn't want to join that league, and they hit a number, right? He had a number in his head, and they hit it. So we'll see how it goes. I think we needed to sort of touch on that last part of this whole conversation.
They're playing pickup. It's like you're playing pick.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like you're in the morning before work.
Yep.
Playing pickup basketball.
Yep.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Doesn't mean a thing.
Yep. That's right. It's a great analogy. I love that. All right, man. Well, look, episode 40 in the books. We appreciate everyone out there for listening, for watching, however you've ever interacted with the podcast. Banksy and I can't thank you enough. Again, the fact that anyone outside of the two of us listens to this, the fact that we're 5 downloads away from 500, the fact that we're getting close to 20 subscribers on YouTube. just thank you to anyone who listens, who cares about the podcast. We really appreciate you. We hope that you continue to listen. So please follow or subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. Jump on the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. The link will be in the podcast description. It's free. So, there's no obligation. You just click that little red button, shoot a comment on the YouTube video. If you like what you hear, if you have any questions, let us know. Follow the podcast at the Two-Way Miss on Twitter. Follow the network at BNB Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Banksy at Fairbanks23 on Instagram. And thank you everyone for 40 episodes of this. It's been an absolute blast. We are not stopping anytime soon. So here we come, episode 80, episode 120. We will keep this thing going till we hit the moon, right, Banks?
Love it. Absolutely.
That's right. All right. Have a good night, everyone, and we will catch you next week for the next episode of the Two-Way Miss. Have a good night.
Swing hard, everyone.
Oh, it's not a cut. That's a slice.
Now this is a quack hook.
Oh,
Short
wow.
and into the right rough, headed to the trees.
Oh my, it's a shake. He decided to re-tee. That's a shake. Oh